Hi, I'm Genetically Modified Skeptic, and you're watching Atheist Edge.
If you rape a female slave, then you owe the temple a ram to be sacrificed. Once you have sacrificed the ram, you will be forgiven. Not even so much as an apology to the woman you committed the offense against? I suppose women didn't really matter. They weren't actually human, were they? However, the slave will receive a severe beating and whipping for no reason. Obviously, it's the woman's fault for being attractive. Wonderful book of morality, where victim blaming is codified into the doctrine.
Pop quiz. Can Muslims drink alcohol? Yes or no? It's a trick question. The answer is both. And from the fruits of palm trees and grapevines, you derive intoxicants, as well as wholesome provision. Surely in this is a sign for those who understand. O believers, intoxicants, gambling, idols, and drawing lots for decisions are all evil of Satan's handiwork. So shun them, so you may be successful. I asked a Muslim about this, and he explained to me that the part in Al-Nahil, chapter 6, verse 67, about the intoxicants is meant to draw a contrast between what we use the fruits for and what God meant us to use the fruits for. Paraphrased more perfectly, it would read something like, though you derive intoxicants, there is wholesome provision, or some other disclamatory word or phrase which would serve to denounce the practice of deriving intoxicants, which it fails to do. So, in order to preserve one's presuppositions that the Quran is perfect, i.e. has no contradictions, one must subtextually add this though without ever admitting to it. We who have eyes can see that the Quran contradicts itself. On one hand, it describes the intoxicants derived from the fruits as a wholesome provision, a sure sign from God. And on the other hand, the intoxicants are the work of the devil, Bobby Boucher.
And I like Vicky, and she likes me back. And she showed me her boobies, and I like them too.
Egyptian parliamentary member El Hami Agina is fighting to pass legislation that would require all women in Egypt to get a virginity test before they are allowed to enroll in college. And I put as a little subtext here, I would love to know what this douchebag thinks a virginity test would consist of. But wait, there's more. A month earlier, this idiot said he was in favor of requiring all women in Egypt to receive genital mutilation in order to reduce a woman's sexual appetite. Well, see, there's still people out there that think you can check to see if someone's a virgin.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is just misogynistic and the patriarchy kind of view of life. It's controlling women's bodies, which I've never really understood this whole virginity thing.
That's a good point. I mean, why is virginity so desirable in the first place? Especially back then. It's odd. Something untouched that, you know, like a present you can unwrap yourself. I don't get it.
Yeah, but, you know, it's like the old thing about the 72 virgins for the terrorists. Most of us know that after 3 or 4, they're going to be looking for a pro. This whole untouched thing really isn't all that appealing once you've done it. It's like, really? Oh, okay.
Philosophical arguments don't win debates. Evidence wins debates. Moreover, gods who exist don't leave their existence open to debate. All right, so I could just end it there, but I want to break this down a little bit, see where I agree and see where I disagree. Philosophical arguments don't win debates. I would say, yes, they do not win debates, but if a person does not know a little bit of philosophy, they could lose a debate even if they're on the right side of that debate, even if they have all the facts. A person with some philosophical training could actually confuse the crowd or make you seem illogical. Evidence wins debates. Like I said, evidence doesn't always win debates. I mean, sometimes it's about how the person actually debates the argument or, you know, sets up the other person to fall into their little pit holes or whatever. So I wouldn't necessarily agree that evidence always wins debates, but I do think at the end of the day, evidence is what matters when we're discussing big issues and topics. Moreover, gods who exist don't leave their existence open to debate. Well, I must disagree there, because if there is a God that exists, how could we possibly understand what this God would or would not do or would not want? It's a possibility that this God could have created this universe and went on to create more universes and left us completely alone and felt no need to come back to actually clarify anything. I mean, there has to be a possibility of that. And I know I'm an atheist, but I still have to be respectful of the fact that when it comes to the supernatural and things that are out of our understanding, we could never truly claim to know the mind of any God. We have a hard time understanding each other, let alone the universe in which we live. If anything was strong enough or powerful enough to actually create this thing, how would we even begin to understand what that thing desires or what it would actually do in that scenario?
According to some traditions, Lilith was the first woman, not Eve. The Bible tells of the creation of Eve from Adam's rib in Genesis 2:22, but it alludes to an earlier creation of a woman from clay in Genesis 1:27. In some translations of the Bible, for example, the New American Bible, Isaiah 34:14 is translated as, "Wildcats shall meet with desert beasts, satyrs shall call to one another, there shall Lilith repose and find for herself a place to rest." In the extra-biblical alphabet of Ben Sirah, Lilith left the Garden of Eden because she refused to submit to Adam's authority.
Okay, deepity, noun, a failed attempt at profundity. Well, these are your words here, right? Want to sound like a crystal-rubbing woo-woo peddler in no time at all? Well, try the New Age bullshit generator. This is an actual thing.
And that link will be on the screen.
Yeah, and you'll instantly be able to speak like David Wolfe, Dr. Oz, Steven Seagal, Oprah Winfrey, John Edward, and of course the king of deepities, Deepak Chopra. And here you say, I will now pull a few random words of wisdom from the bullshit generator. And these are things that are actually generated by the bullshit generator. And I've seen other things like this. It'll come up with this stuff. And this is just random, like it follows a rule to invent these sayings. And they always sound exactly like the stuff you'd hear from these people.
Yep.
Being is a constant. Today, science tells us that the essence of nature is awareness.
Holy shit.
It's funny because there's actually people arguing that lately.
That sounds no different than what Chopra will say on Oprah's show.
Well, the whole new panpsychism fad is it's exactly that. Anyway, by refining, we self-actualize. The universe is electrified with ultrasonic energy. Right? We exist as a resonance cascade. Rejuvenation is the truth of hope and of us. The funny thing is, it sounds like a lot of the stuff in the Scientology books I'm going to talk about in a moment. Oh, we get to one of the later ones. And life force requires exploration. Very good. I forgot
how goddamn funny these were. Oh,
yeah. Jargonized bullshit. That sounds fancy. It sounds deep. That's the point, right? It sounds deep. But when you think about it, you're like, no, that's just garbage talk, right?
There is nothing in the Bible or the Quran regarding masturbation. The closest it gets to mentioning it is when God ordered Onan to impregnate his sister-in-law and killed him for spilling his seed on the ground instead. Funny story about this passage. When I was a teenager and a new Christian, I couldn't wait to tell everyone about my new faith. I was working in a truck stop as a waitress, so there were plenty of sinners for me to share with. Once I shared with a coworker who was about twice my age. Remember, I was only 17. She responded that the only person Jesus ever killed was a man who spilled his seed on the ground, so she believed that the only things that were sinful were sexual. Not knowing my Bible very well yet, I didn't respond. But I went home and searched the Bible for this passage and realized that this is the passage that she was referring to, even though it isn't Jesus who killed the man, and the story is in the Old Testament and Jesus never killed anyone in the Bible. It just goes to show you that most Christians don't know what is in their Bibles, which gives them the freedom to make up whatever they want and just say, it's in the Bible.
Non-Muslims are evil. This is from the Quran, Surah 3, verse 110. And as is the case with all my quotations from the Quran, I'll be using the Yusuf Ali translation to the English. All right, so I'll just read it. Verse 110, Surah 3 says, "Ye are the best of peoples evolved for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in God. If only the people of the book had faith, it were best for them. Among them are some who have faith, but most of them are perverted transgressors." All right, so this is saying that Muslims are basically better than everybody else. Ye are the best of peoples, evolved, which goes along with the idea of Islam as a progressive, revelation. This is the final revelation of Allah, of God, right? So the Jews got part of the story, and then the Christians got another kind of part of the story, but the Muslims through Muhammad got the full story, right? So it's and it's the same way that Christians feel about the Jews, that the Jews got part of the story and the Christians got the rest of it, right? Well, now you go one step further, and the Muslims say, nah, we've got the rest of it. And then the Baha'i say, but we've got the rest of it after you guys. And, likewise, the Mormons say, oh, Christians, you think you've got the whole story. Well, that's not true. We've got the rest of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as long as you have these sort of iterative revelation situations as the kind of the default paradigm for the evolution of religion, at least within the Abrahamic traditions, it seems to be the way they all are doing it. It's like, well, line up all your prophets, and then we'll place ours at the very tail end and make him the biggest and the best. As long as that's the paradigm, it's just going to keep on happening. You're going to have whatever the next version of whatever they all happen to be. Whatever the next Abrahamic version, iteration, whatever. It'll be the same thing, and they will think that they are so much better than everyone else who have come before them. And that's really what this is saying, is that the Muslims are better, not so much than everybody else. And it's also not technically saying that all non-Muslims are evil. It is saying that, and it's also specifying just people of the book, right? So people of the book means Jews or Christians. It doesn't really mean pagans necessarily, although Muslims have a lower view of pagans and certainly of atheists than they do people of the book. At least people of the book are part of that same Abrahamic tradition, right? So they have fallen short, of where they could have gone, but they are not as bad as an outright atheist. Although the end of this verse does say they are, it says most of them are perverted transgressors. So, yeah, most of them. It's not exactly a compliment to say, well, just most of you are all perverts and nasty people. Just most of you. It's fine. Although I do want to point out a little bit further along, a couple of verses later, verse 113, it does sort of walk that back a little bit. It says, not all of them are alike, meaning the people of the book that don't accept Islam. Of the people of the book are a portion that stand for the right. They rehearse the signs of God all night long and then prostrate themselves in adoration. So, so what are they? The people of the book that are upright, that they they're not explicitly Muslim, but they are devout. Like, what exactly is this referring to? Are they almost Muslim? Are they just very respectful of Muslims and they're just sort of going through the motions of being Muslim, even if they're not Muslim, and that's what makes them better? I don't know. It doesn't exactly commend the whole paradigm to me. Again, it's sort of part and parcel of you guys think you're so great because you've got your prophet, but we've got our prophet, and our prophet can beat up your prophet. So there, sort of a thing, which is really a kind of a mindset that in religious context that I really hope that someday we can all move past, because it's just an ongoing one-upmanship, basically.
All right, and then you've got item 534, Deepity, a whole section on Deepity. This is good to have a little bit of not just traditional Christianity, Islam, the big ones, but to go after the woo, right? This is the sort of what you call soft religion, spiritual but not religious.
I don't think that's going to go into the. That's not
No
going to go
one
in the
wants that.
episode. Just so you know, guys, Carl just told a joke that I'm not going to let you listen to, and for your own good.